So today I want to talk about 3 top questions you need to ask before you hire any freelancer for a writing project of any significance. Now, Charlie, you might say, we go on Upwork or we go on LinkedIn, we find somebody, we ask them about themselves, have them tell us a little bit about themselves, ask them what the rates are, and off we go. And it's this very thinking that's the reason for this video today. In fact, I was just working on a blog post coming on the heels of some tough conversations I had with some colleagues, with some friends and companies who have struck out with freelancers. And I'm a freelancer myself. I've interviewed lots of freelancers. I've been on hundreds of interview calls. I use freelancers for my own business. And so I know a thing or two about what it takes to get to the bottom of actually determining if you have a good freelancer and if it's someone you want to move forward with. So let's get into them. What are the 3 things that you should always be asking in every freelance interview? Now, first, you're on a video call as you ask these. And that's the number one thing I say is I don't just get on the phone. It might not mean a lot to you, but having that eye-to-eye contact, having that connection, understanding how somebody just carries themselves and holds themselves for, if you plan to work with this person more than once, like they're going to be representing your brand. They're going to be owning or holding your corporate voice. They're going to be communicating on behalf of you, your team, your organization. Like you really want to develop some personal connection. You want to see how they carry themselves, see how they work through problems, see how they just have a discussion, really, because good writing is really more than just about writing. There's so much more that goes into that writing project, right? It's not just words on the paper. It's how they engage. It's how they receive feedback. It's how they offer ideas. It's how they manage through a process. It's how they hit deadlines and timelines. So there are other things you're looking for. So get on a video, look them in the eye, and then get into the questions. Now, the first question shouldn't be, tell me a little bit about yourself and what are your rates. Now, those are important things. It's okay to lob a softball in there to kick off the conversation in a warm and easy way, but you're going to want to know more than that. And if you dive right into rates, stop and reevaluate what actually matters to you. Because most people don't just want to hire a freelancer. They want to hire a good freelancer. They care about actual value. They want some return on their investment. They want that piece that they pay to be created to actually to have a return. So you shouldn't be just looking for kind of bottom of the barrel or basement rates or the cheapest per word rate or the cheapest copywriter. Really good copy can bring really good returns to your business. So keep that in mind and think a lot about value more so than just project rate or an hourly rate. All right, so you've gotten into the discussion, you've warmed up, kind of introduction, and what's the first question you ask? I always ask, how would you think about this project? Now that you've given what you've heard, how would you think about this project? And then I stop, I pause, and I just sort of let the awkward silence ensue. Because you actually want to know that this writer is a critical thinker. You want to know that they're thinking about audience. They're thinking about tone. They're thinking about messaging. They're thinking about how they would order a piece. They're thinking about how this piece would work alongside other pieces of content. A good writer actually isn't simply focused only on the piece they're writing because they too are invested. They want this piece to succeed. They should want follow-on business. And if they're successful, that business might be there. So they're thinking about how to optimize the creation of this piece of copy to best serve your needs. So I'm always asking about prospects or client personas. I'm asking about how the copy is going to be used. I'm asking what they've succeeded with or what they haven't succeeded with in the past as a freelancer. So ask them, how would you approach this project? And just see what they say and see how they think. That conversation can move in many directions, but you're going to get a sense if they're a critical thinker. Now, number 2 is you want to ask them or say, so tell me about your writing process. Now that question will freeze a lot of writers who simply just write because they say, well, I don't have a process. I'm a writer. I just sit down at my computer and I start typing. But the fact is, you may have experienced it. I've certainly experienced it with a lot of projects. Is that the thing that drives failure in most projects is process related, right? You have a drug out piece that misses the window or the kind of the relevant timeline. You have unclear guidelines or unclear copy. You have unaccountable teammates. You have unassigned tasks. So there is a process around every piece. A piece just doesn't show up right in an email one day completed. There's drafting, there's outlining, there's thinking about delivery and tone. There's the revision process. There's who's kind of on the editorial review team, who can weigh in on the outside, how many reviewers are there going to be, what does the contract signing process look like, who provides the contract, how is payment made. So you need to get these process steps worked out. Now, a good writer has a process. I have processes for how I do white papers. They're much more involved, complex, and lengthy than a blog post, for example, but I have that process outlined so that when you hire me, you know exactly how long things are going to take, who's responsible for what. That gets outlined. It gets outlined clearly. It gets communicated. There's a paper trail for it. So then we have a discussion about where we want the piece to go, and away we go. So ask about writing process. Ask about how they work through a process and what their process looks like. This really matters for longer copy too, right? So I mentioned it with white papers, but there's a lot that goes into research, developing outlines, validating the outlines, right? Doing a little bit of due diligence around maybe certain themes or topics you want to explore, and verifying if those are indeed kind of worthwhile to tackle. Corporate branding and voice, maybe getting sign off from customers or from other research sources. So think about process and get beyond just simply the copywriting when you're talking to the freelancer. So the final question I ask is, if something's going to happen to make our project unsuccessful, what is it going to be? We've all had hiccups in our work, right? Every freelance project, every freelancer, every freelance project, there's been an issue. Every employee at any company has worked through issues. This question is sort of akin to that classic interview question of tell me about a time you overcame a challenge. But I ask them, if something is going to go wrong, if we're going to be unsuccessful with this project, what's going to happen? What I want to see is that this isn't their first project, that I'm not their guinea pig client, that they have actually had a significant, robust, meaningful freelance engagements, and they have navigated the challenges that undoubtedly are going to come up. Challenges generally can relate to kind of executive buy-in. So you have a marketing manager who's driving a project, and then all of a sudden an executive kind of comes in and kiboshes the whole thing, or wants a change of direction, or budget drastically changes, or you have other people coming in who want to review or add their 2 cents to a piece. So ask them, what could crater this project? What's our challenges going to be? Because what you want to hear is not just what are the likely factors that will make us unsuccessful, but what are we going to do to mitigate them? So they might come back to their process. They might come back to the flexibility that they have in their contract. They might come back to how they're, engaging with people, and they have kind of the emotional intelligence, the social intelligence to be able to navigate conversations, or to play the bad guy if needed to kind of backstop you. So you want to be a team with this freelancer. You want to know that together you guys are going to be able to overcome the project challenges that will likely crop up, particularly if this is a significant piece of content that might take weeks or even months to develop. So ask them about what would make the project unsuccessful. See what they say, and then consider their answer. Is that going to fit given your kind of management style or your company dynamics? So those 3 great questions to ask. How would you think about this project? Tell me about your writing process, and what are some factors that will make us unsuccessful, and how are we going to overcome those? Again, if you haven't met, I'm Charlie. I'm a business writer. I work with funded startups, top technology companies, VCs, other investors, and innovative businesses to use copy and content to build brands and improve sales and marketing. You can meet me on my website at www.charliew.co. Shoot me a question. Reach out to me if you have questions on freelancers or freelance writing, or coming up with a project, or how to navigate the freelance writing world. So thanks for joining. We'll talk to you next time.